Real Mechanic Stuff put something out about a week ago that I was interested in doing. That I was interested in taking a look at. Real Mechanics did a collab recently. They did a collab with Legal Eagle. And they're gonna be looking at like car crashes with Legal Eagle Bear talking about who is at fault for the car crash. So it's not like mechanic gore, it's not customer states. This is like accidents. And my guess is the mechanic will say, okay, this is probably what's going to need to get fixed. And Legal Eagle is there going to be to basically discuss who is at fault for the accident. That's my suspicion of what they're going to do. And I thought this would be very interesting. It's kind of a meeting of minds. And I thought it could be interesting. So let's take a look.
Today we're here with the legend himself, the Legal Eagle, Devin Stone.
Order in the court.
To find out who's on a hook when it comes down to these wrecks and crashes.
Disclaimer, I'm a lawyer, but I'm not your lawyer, and this is not legal advice.
First clip.
Oh,
wow.
Oh,
I think I know
boy.
where that is, actually.
How many cars are 1, 2?
Right.
Ooh.
Jesus, look at the pileup. Look at how many cars are a victim of. Look at how many cars are a victim of this hill. Because that's pure ice. This is just pure ice.
How many cars are
Oh,
1,
shit.
2, 4? Ooh. At this point right here, like, who's at fault? Is it like the city? Is it like somebody should be on top, like warning them?
I mean, ideally, sure. There would be.
Honestly, TX, it's not even like too fast conditions there. It's with the incline of that hill right there, and the fact that it was pure ice, you could crawl down that hill. Like at speed, you could crawl and you could still slide. You could, even at a crawl, I've seen videos of vehicles trying to traverse like in inclines at a crawling speed, and they'll still just slide right down it, even at a crawling speed. My guess is we might say that the city had to be there either to like drop copious amounts of salt to thaw that ice, or to issue warning signs or something. That's gonna be my guess in terms of a quote-unquote fault. Because yes, you're right, Kanito. This is like an act of God thing. So it's going to be hard to ascribe fault, so to speak. The only ones that you could maybe look at is, depending on how long it's been that this hill is frozen, maybe the city, if there was no warning signs or the road wasn't blocked off, or if they didn't get it properly salted, maybe you could look at the city fat. Maybe.
Top, like warning them.
I mean, ideally, sure. There would be someone on top, but at that point, I think you get to the crest of the hill and the cars are just coming down. In a situation like that, obviously the state has an obligation to keep the roads in a safe manner and to design the roads in a safe manner as well. So theoretically, you might be able to sue the state of California or the state of Nevada, depends on where in Tahoe that is.
Correct.
If that was a negligently designed road. Mm-hmm. But I think for the most part, it's just weather is an act of God that nothing anyone can do about it.
So that's a really crazy one. Like I would wonder like what the insurance would, like some of these are going to be rentals, right? And some of them are going to be like your personal cars.
Yeah.
So would the insurance even cover it? That's kind of like.
It totally depends on what kind of insurance they have.
Yeah.
And I do think a very likely outcome here is that the insurance company is just going to say each individual driver was at fault, and therefore the driver is responsible for the.
Tornado. Yeah, that's force majeure. It's that's probably what the insurance companies would likely do. Is they would do force majeure, depending on whether or not your particular insurance has force majeure coverage. But regardless, if your insurance does cover it, your premiums are going to go up. If your insurance does cover the repairs for that, your insurance will end up going will increasing because now you have a situation, especially if you live if your residence, your registered residence is in that area. Definitely your insurance coverage is going to go up because the insurance like, well, you live there. And so this is now a known quantity that this could happen. And in the long term, the insurance companies, if too many people are asking for asking for payouts because of incidents like this, the insurance companies will look at this area and go, okay, if you reside in this area, if you reside in and around this area, you're going to be paying a higher upfront premium to get insurance in the first place. Kind of like how we're seeing with California. Insurance companies are backing out of California, in terms of fire coverage. Insurance companies will no longer offer fire insurance on houses in California because of the rate of wildfires, because the last major wildfire that took down so many houses, the insurance companies in California are saying, we're not offering fire insurance to houses anymore whatsoever. So if you live in this area of Lake Tahoe where this is known to happen, for you to get car insurance, your insurance cost is going to be elevated right from the beginning. From the very beginning, they will start raising insurance coverage for people that live in those areas. And it's I don't disagree about insurance being a ripoff for most people. In terms of the California thing with the California houses, it's happening so much. Insurance companies are having to pay out millions of dollars so frequently because wildfires have become so prevalent. It's a little bit understandable why the insurance companies would finally say, no, mas, we're not going to cover for fire insurance because we're literally paying out hundreds of millions of dollars every single year because the wildfires are so prevalent. Well, Revan, that's why they backed out. That's why the insurance companies have now backed out in California and said we will no longer be offering fire coverage if you have a residence in California because of the wildfires. They've paid out, but they said we're done. We're done. We're not doing this anymore, and they backed out because they're paying out hundreds of millions every year because the wildfires have become so crazy in California.
Their own damage to their own car, but no driver is going to have to pay for the damage to anyone else's car.
Correct.
There are cases where the state can be liable for road conditions.
Correct.
There's a famous case out of Tennessee where fog actually caused a huge pileup, and the state was held liable because they had knowledge that there was this paper mill factory that was contributing to the fog. But generally speaking, the state is not going to be responsible for just, snow in a snowy area.
Correct. That's correct. You're right about that. With that said and done.
Glad you approve.
Flying down the highway at 120 miles per hour. The driver dodging cars and deputies.
What is that, a Hyundai?
Okay, well, this is a car chase. I think we can guess who's going to be at fault in terms of a car chase.
Behind the wheel isn't running from the law. He called them for help. 16-year-old Ellis Lucia called 911 last December, claiming the gas pedal inside his 2011 Hyundai Elantra got stuck. For nearly an hour and a half, dispatchers scrambled for solutions.
What could cause a...
Why didn't they just tell him to turn the car off? Why didn't the deputies or the dispatch say, turn the car off? And just let it coast to a stop? E-brake may or may not work, Revan. The problem with an e-brake, especially if you're going at high speeds, it wouldn't turn off? Oh, really? It wouldn't be able to turn off and drive. Okay. Shift to neutral could be an idea. Action Bastard and Wolfie, yeah. Shift to neutral. Certainly. The e-brake, the problem with the e-brake is the e-brake is not going to stop you. You can actually still drive with the e-brake engaged. The e-brake is not designed to stop the vehicle while it's in motion. The e-brake is designed to simply stop the vehicle from rolling when it's not receiving power. So, applying the e-brake will not stop your car. In fact, it'll make it more difficult for you to steer your car if you engage the e-brake, because then your back end is going to be bouncing and skipping from the e-brake. So that's not necessarily a viable option. Throwing it in neutral is an idea. Problem with throwing it in one problem I could see with throwing it into neutral, one problem I could see with that is, especially if you're traveling at 100 miles an hour, is the RPMs are going to ramp up significantly. With the gas pedal stuck to the floor, it means the car is trying to facilitate a high degree of acceleration, and if you pop it into neutral, the problem is you could blow the engine could blow, and you could be you could cause like an actual explosion potentially. That could cause issues with debris and maybe control, because if you pop it into neutral, the engine can ramp up and die really quick, and then you're losing power, and then while you're trying to drift to stop again, you may have lost power steering. So if your engine dies while you're in neutral, you've also lost your power steering, which means you cannot avoid other cars. So that may be a reason, perhaps, why they didn't put it in neutral, because they wanted to try and avoid, they didn't know how fast the engine could go, and thus he could lose power steering. Maybe that's why they chose not to do it in neutral. I don't know. Popping the tires ghost is a bad idea because, again, you have a loss of control. But when you throw out spikes to blow up the tires, you end up losing you could end up losing control of a vehicle, which could cause a collision in that case. So that's why using a spike strip might not be the best option in that situation, because this isn't a criminal. You want this kid to maintain control to try and avoid other vehicles.
Car accelerator to get stuck in a way that you couldn't stop it.
You know what's crazy about that? That he's saying he couldn't decelerate, he couldn't step on the brake, he couldn't do a bunch of stuff, like he couldn't drop it in neutral, he couldn't do all this stuff. That's really
Apparently, he couldn't drop it in neutral. He couldn't, the brakes, the accelerator stopped, the brakes failed. And let me back it up to the news footage again. Hang on.
16-year-old Ellis Lucia called 911 last December, claiming the gas pedal inside his 2011 Hyundai Elantra got stuck. For nearly an hour and a half, dispatchers scrambled for solutions.
What could cause a...
Okay. Maybe Miranda knows more than we do. He said that the brake wasn't working and that you couldn't pop it into neutral either. So... No, the news report to Atanashi, that's what I'm saying. Maybe when Alejandro was talking, maybe they have more behind the scenes information about the incident that was not in that news broadcast. And that's why he's saying he couldn't use the brake, and couldn't pop it into neutral.
He's saying he couldn't decelerate, he couldn't step on the brake, he couldn't do a bunch of stuff, like he couldn't drop it in neutral, he couldn't do all this stuff. That's really hard to believe. It's a Hyundai. It's not that complicated. I think.
Because let's
the
assume
kid was
that
claiming it.
there is a
The
a
kid
brick
was claiming
on the
it.
accelerator.
Correct.
So the pedal is all the way down. You should be able to stop that car even if the accelerator is going full.
I mean,
right?
run it off the road, get into the dirt so it can slow down, or start massaging the wall so it slows you down. Don't just keep speeding and speeding and speeding.
Well, but I mean, theoretically, he should have been able to apply the brakes or drop it into neutral or a lower
exactly,
gear,
but
right?
that's why he's saying that he couldn't do none of that. I don't believe it.
So it sounds like Hyundai acknowledged that it is possible for it to happen, but it's
Gotcha.
extremely unlikely. And when you're
Okay, hang on. Be extremely unlikely for simultaneous and spontaneous total system failure for the brakes, accelerator, and transmission to occur at the same time. Okay, so if this kid was saying that the accelerator was floored, the brakes didn't work, and you couldn't adjust, you couldn't shift the transmission. Okay, so that's what he's saying. Right. Extremely unlikely, not impossible. I have no idea what a forensics examination of the car came up with. Or if a forensics examination even occurred. I would suspect that they would that police would do forensics on the vehicle to determine if this actually did occur. And interestingly enough, they actually took this scenario and put it into a TV show. Did you guys know that? I forget which one of it was one of the firefighter emergency rescue services shows. I can't remember if it was like Lone Star 911 or what. It might have actually been Lone Star 911. Was it not, or was it 911 Lone Star Vacant Area? Okay, yeah. They actually put this scenario into 911 Lone Star where the kid was driving, I think it was his dad's car or something, and he couldn't slow down. The shifter was dead, the brakes were dead, everything was dead. And they ended up positioning a fire truck in front of him for him to ran into to stop his vehicle.
Is possible for it to happen,
Gotcha.
but it's extremely unlikely. And when you're dealing with something like this, you could have a manufacturing defect, and theoretically, it could be a defect in design that there wasn't a brake override system.
Was it regular 911?
Definitely,
Okay, mechanic,
I think you're
thank
thinking
you.
about negligence. Like maybe it was negligently manufactured, maybe it was negligently maintained by a mechanic, not you, obviously.
Last place he went to was Miranda's.
It's impossible to know. It could be 100% Hyundai's fault. It could be 0% Hyundai's fault. We don't actually know based on just the fact that there was an injury that occurred.
Got you. So this clip is kind of trippy. This next clip shows a racer that loses his brakes on the track and shows his experience on brake failure.
Watch what happens when this racer's brakes fail entering a turn.
And he's jamming out. Brake failure. He's like,
All right, this is
Okay,
in Florida.
steer.
tracks.
boom, let me take your game.
Wow.
Fuck it.
Okay.
Oh,
He
man,
dodges.
he just keeps going.
He dodges the
This
construction.
is like the beginning to the Naked Gun or Police Squad, where the police car is just like driving through everywhere in like the
He's
mall
right.
and a bathroom. And
But you see how he's dodging. He didn't go into the street, like into traffic.
well, he went
He's
into
like-
a parking lot though.
Yeah, but he's like, let me go around it. Let me figure this out. Look at that.
So I think
Okay.
the driver is in trouble, and here's why. The driver made a left turn through the chain link fence instead of turning right and staying on the track.
You know what? He's saying the truth. You know what? You're right. And I was talking about experience. He could have just kept going and once again hit the wall.
Hit,
Yeah.
Drag the wall.
I am not convinced that he needed to hit the wall.
Well, you know what?
Well, hang on a second. Hang on a second.
Made a left turn
Let me see
through
something.
the chain link fence instead of turning.
I suspect
The driver made a left turn.
I suspect he made the left turn because maybe I'm wondering if the left turn was an easier turn to make. If this left turn might have been a gentler turn than the right-hand turn on the track. And also, I think he was trying to get out of the race to not impact any of the other vehicles because the accelerator wasn't stuck. He didn't have a problem with the accelerator, he just had a problem with the brake. And I think he was trying to get off the track to remove himself so other cars that were taking the turn at a high speed maybe wouldn't, because he had to slow down. He was like off the accelerator so it could coast to a stop. And perhaps maybe he made the left-hand turn so the other cars wouldn't potentially strike him because they're coming at a high rate of speed. And I think maybe he knew that he had enough distance to coast to a stop once he came off the accelerator. And I'm wondering if that's maybe why he made the left turn instead of the right turn.
Through the chain link fence instead of turning right and staying on the track.
You know what? He's saying the truth. You know what? You're right. And I was talking about experience. He could have just kept going and once again hit the wall and drag the wall.
I am not convinced that he needed to hit the wall.
Well, you know what? I'm not. Yeah, you're right. But I just maybe my experience like hit the wall, slow down, you know. But you're probably right. Like just continue in the track instead of going out to the street.
For every video today, are you gonna say the driver should have hit the wall?
Hit the wall.
I don't think that's the best course of action. But I think if you're racing a car, probably the standard of care is that you need to stay on the track if at all possible.
And slam into the wall.
Chalk it up to Florida drivers.
Yeah. Next clip. You cleared it out for me.
Uh-oh.
And oh, nice.
Oh, shit!
Wow. Not a good look for Toyotas today. Okay, so this guy's making a left-hand turn and he goes into another car who is also making a left-hand turn?
Yeah, but
he's in the suicide
middle.
lane? Yeah. I mean, look, they don't call them suicide lanes for nothing, I guess.
That's crazy. You hit it and you keep going.
But the red car was inching forward. I don't know that he was inching forward that much, though.
So somebody's not paying attention. He is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one that's making the left, he's looking right.
Yeah.
And he sees it's clear. And he just keeps going, looking
This
at
guy,
the right. And does
the Toyota took that turn too tight. Yeah. Well, this guy was inching forward. When he made the turn, watch how he makes the turn. He doesn't come out straight and then start the turn right about here. Watch the angle of the Toyota.
the one that's making the
Right
left,
away,
he's looking
slight
right.
turn, and
Yeah.
it's
And he
angling.
sees it's clear.
Look at the angling.
And he just keeps going, looking at the right. And doesn't notice there's a car in front of him. And goes over it.
Yeah.
My guess, if I was to hazard a guess, the Toyota, we can't see the driver. My guess is the Toyota was looking here. When this Toyota driver was coming out, the Toyota driver was looking in this direction. And what happened, and this is this is something that's a pretty well established fact, is that when you're driving a car, if you look in one direction, your impulse is kind of to steer away from the direction that you're looking in. So, and especially when you have cars coming. So because he could see these cars coming, or he or she, and we're looking in this direction, the natural impulses when looking at those cars is to steer the opposite way because you're wanting to avoid those vehicles. And we saw the turn was too tight and went into this other vehicle.
And he
I
sees
think
it's
that may be
clear,
what happened.
And he just keeps going, looking at the right. And doesn't notice there's a car in front of him.
Yep.
And goes
Yep.
over it.
Yeah, so I think that's probably right. And I think that for the most part, it's the silver Corolla that is going to be liable here. I don't know that they would necessarily be 100% at fault. And one thing that people often misunderstand is that when you're talking about liability, it's not 100% or zero.
Right.
If that person is considered 50% at fault, then they'd be required to pay 50% and only 50%.
Correct.
And it depends on the state. That's called comparative fault, whereas some states still use contributory fault, where if you are at fault even a tiny bit, then you are prohibited from recovering anything.
Probably has to do a little bit with this. Is a quick story. So my dad's walking like on the sidewalk, right in front of the shop, and there's a car in the middle, like that, just like that, in the intersection, with the emergency lights on. This lady pulls in like that, slams into the car in the middle, and then we all come outside, right? And we're like, oh, what happened? My dad felt like he was the most handsome person in the world. That lady goes like, I saw such a beautiful, handsome man that I didn't pay attention.
That's an excuse. That's an excuse to get out of the fuck up. Oh, that's the dad's. Oh, yeah. I've heard about stories like this. I've heard about car crashes that occurred where it was a young guy driving, and the excuse that he gave to the cops is, I was checking out a hot girl and wasn't looked at and went crutch.
I would not tell a client to make that admission at the scene of an accident.
Because my dad felt so flattered that she said that, we actually fixed her car, not the other guy's. We fixed her car for free. That was so funny to me because I was telling my dad, like, but why are we fixing it? And he's like, that's because, you know, my beauty. And I was like, what? Next clip.
The company, Finest Towing, was alerted that a bank wanted this car on Richmond Terrace for repossession. Rodriguez hooked it up for a tow and abruptly found out the driver is a detective at the 120th precinct across the street.
He got arrested for having a stolen car when we had a repossession order for it.
The detective allegedly offered to pay Rodriguez for the 3 missed car payments,
Well,
but
that's dumb.
Finest Towing says it's illegal for it to collect debt. Only the bank can do that, and only the bank can authorize a car to be released. But allegedly, police took the car off the tow truck themselves and put Rodriguez in jail for about a day. Stefan says the officers confiscated the truck's cameras, but this photo of an officer dismantling a recording device was automatically uploaded to a storage cloud.
I like that.
Rodriguez says when he was first arrested, he was charged with a felony for possession.
Holy shit. Well, clear police corruption. Absolutely pure corruption in the police. Yes, that is very illegal, Nick. Everything that the NYPD did here was illegal. You have false arrest, false imprisonment. Those are the two that jump out at me. The rest could be lawsuit. The camera could be considered tampering with evidence. When they disabled the interior camera, that could be destruction of evidence. And not to mention the hefty amount of lawsuits that the towing company could bring against the NYPD and the tow truck driver that he could personally bring against the department. Wow. That is seriously fucking corrupt. And I fucking hope every single one of those police officers that was involved in this, that knew what they were doing, was corrupt like that. Like, I'm not talking about, like, if they just grabbed the beat cop and said, and was told, oh yeah, this is an arrest, you know, we arrest this guy for stolen car, take care of that. Like, I'm not talking about the beat cop that came into it blind and was just told by superiors, do this, and didn't have a clue what was going on. But I'm talking about, like, the detective and anyone that knew what the hell was going on, that engaged in this. I hope every fucking one of them gets fired and gets charged. I really do. That is scummy as fucking hell. That is so fucking corrupt.
Possession of stolen property. But then, when he appeared in court, his charges were changed to misdemeanors.
Wow, that's messed up.
And he still had to contend with his charges? Oh, that is some fucking bullshit right there. He still had to deal with charges. They just dropped them to misdemeanors. Holy crap, that is scumbaggery right fucking there. Holy shit.
It's so messed up. Yeah, there's a lot going on here.
Yeah.
I mean,
as soon as you find out it's a cop's car, bring it down. Bring it down. You can't beat them.
No, you shouldn't have to. Just because someone is a cop does not mean that they are above the law. Like, no, I don't fucking care if it's a cop car. If it's a police officer's car, I don't fucking care. Then he or she has to pay their bills just like everyone else. They are not above not needing to pay their bills just like everyone else. And if this cop decided to buy a car that he couldn't afford and decided to miss his fucking payments, well, sucks to be you, dude. Your car's getting repossessed just like everyone else that doesn't have a fucking badge. It is literally as simple as that.
You can't.
I don't know, bring it down and set it on fire, maybe. Yeah, I mean, this kind of police entitlement is rampant. The police are not above the law, and generally speaking, the police are not even allowed to break the law, certainly not off duty, and generally not even on duty either. I mean, this reeks of, misuse of authority, and I hope that this tow truck driver sued the crap out of the...
Yeah, he offered to pay, the 3 missed payments. Could he have actually Probably not. But the fact is, the tow driver, it would have been illegal for the tow driver to take the payments. The tow driver is not the bank. Okay, the tow driver was just like the bank contacted the tow company with a legal repossession order, and the tow company was facilitating.
Police here because they're using their authority to, to put him in jail and to confiscate his property when it seems like he was doing something that's completely legal. The police, could not arrest you for doing your job that is, a totally normal thing. Like, it's not stolen property because it's part of a repossession. Grand Theft Auto requires like the unlawful taking, and that's
Garm thing. If that had occurred, if the police officer came out and said, "I'll pay you those 3 payments right now," and the tow truck driver said yes, and then the cop arrested the tow truck driver for taking those payments, you could potentially make a defense argument of entrapment because it was a cop. And so that is possible that maybe you could offer, like, depending on how the detective approached the driver for it and talked to him about making those payments or something, like, if the cop said, "Let me make those payments or I'm going to hook you up," and the driver's like, "Well, okay, I guess I have to," and then he makes the payments and then the cop hooks him up anyway, well, yeah, that would certainly be entrapment. If the cop just says, "Let me make the payments," and the tow driver just goes, "Okay," and that was it, and then the tow driver gets hooked up for that illegal activity, it would be difficult, but perhaps not impossible to make a defense of entrapment depending upon the interaction. But it would not be as clear-cut because the tow truck driver had full autonomy to say no. He was not basically given no choice but to collect the money from the cop for the payments. So that's where entrapment falls into play. Is the entrapment, number one, it needs to come from a law enforcement officer, and number two, the person claiming entrapment has to have been put into a position where they are committing an act which they would normally not be predisposed to commit, i.e., they are heavily influenced to commit an act that is considered illegal by law enforcement. So, again, like your scenario, could entrapment be applied? Again, it would depend upon the interaction.
I don't think it would be unlawful to take that car. So that's super, super messed up. I hope there were real consequences for...
As you guys could tell, I'm not saying nothing right now. Because... Exactly. They're notorious. My car is on my property. The ticket guy...
Your friend's car is on your friend's property.
Yeah, my friend's car is on my friend's property, right? The ticket guy decides to give him a ticket. And we're like, well, it's on private property. How are you gonna give it a ticket? Do you see that gate right there? He felt like we disrespected him. So he goes and calls a cop. And then there's like 6 or 7 cops for a ticket. And guess whose car gets towed? My friend. Yes, my friend's car. I was like...
Here's what I would do in that situation. I would immediately take out my phone and I would just start recording.
I don't think it would happen to you, but I know it's happened to me because as soon as they see us, they think hooligans, these bad guys. Totally different story. But
actually, I'm gonna do one more on Legal Eagle. Take out the phone and start recording. And if they still insist on the ticket, go, okay, take the ticket, take that ticket and your video footage to court in front of a judge and say, Your Honor, this is what occurred. You have the videographic evidence that the car was on private property when the officer ticketed the car, and the judge will probably toss the ticket, and then you could probably sue the police department for unlawful arrest because a ticket is still technically an arrest. If you receive a citation, I believe depending upon the state, let me preface, depending upon the state, if you receive a ticket, that is technically considered an arrest. It's just, when you receive a ticket, 9 times out of 10, you are released on your own recognizance to go into court for that ticket. So you could then get, fight it in court and win, and then you could sue the police department potentially you could sue them for unlawful and make them pay you for your time that you had to give up to attend court for that ticket. That's something that you could do in addition to what Legal Eagle was saying.
I mean, some cops are cool, some cops really are not that cool, but I'm not saying nothing. So who's at fault here? The cop?
Yes, the cops are at fault.
Okay. I don't want to say nothing. On to this next clip.
Alrighty, guys. Real quick, I ain't no snitch. Y'all know I ain't no snitch, right? But let me tell y'all something. I'm gonna be a little messy. You guys need to read y'all insurance clause or the printed fine prints on your insurance form. Aftermarket insurance company I'm talking about. So this guy was in a wreck, right? We gave him an estimate.
I love that the video says I'm no snitch while he's snitching.
We told him he needed lower control arm. All of this whole side got hit, right?
But
so instead of, we write up the parts for mostly brand new Mopar parts. Dave said, no, we obligated to fix it, but we'll use whatever we want to use. So look what showed up, guys. So they went and got this whole, this was a Ram 1500. They went and got this whole section off of the car, I guess from a salvage yard, junkyard. And they sent it to it. Look, ball joints loose, all kinds of, look like it's been in an accident.
Okay, well, first of all, if you're ever going to snitch on someone, snitch on the insurance companies. Insurance companies are terrible. But that's actually true. I mean, most insurance policies do not necessarily require new parts. It's LKQ, like, kind, and quality. Now, this is probably not something that, meets that standard, but you're not necessarily entitled to a brand new part just because your car was in an accident.
You're right about that. And we've gotten arguments with insurance when we get, like, say, a 2025 car. Like, wouldn't you want to put a brand new part since he only has 2 months out with it? They're like, nope, OKQ has them. I'm like, okay, and then the customer gets mad at us, and they come back and they complain to me, and I'm like, well, this is what your insurance paid for.
I had an old partner who said having an insurance policy doesn't give you anything except the right to sue your insurance policy. Remember, kids, insurance companies are the bad guys.
Not wrong.
That's true. Can I get next clip?
Cameron was headed home in his Honda Civic when the vehicle in front of him kicked up a chunk of concrete. Concrete was debris left over from construction and weighed 5 pounds. When it hit Cameron's windshield, it punched a hole through the glass and sprayed shards all over the cabin. Cameron was hospitalized and needed surgery to remove glass from his face.
Jeez.
Oh my God.
Okay, so here, automatically, I'm gonna rule out the SUV in front that kicked up the concrete. Now, actually, let me take that back a little bit. I think an argument could be made that the reasonable duty of care required them to swerve and not run over the concrete. I don't think that's necessarily a winning argument.
Well, okay, hang on. It is entirely possible. It is entirely possible that this person may not have seen the concrete. Maybe another car knocked into the concrete, skidded it into his lane, and he didn't have time to avoid it before it got kicked up. I think ultimately what's going to happen is he's going to say there's going to be a responsibility for the construction company that did not properly clean up their work area, because a 5-pound chunk of concrete, that's not something you easily miss when you're cleaning up your area of work when you're doing construction on the highway.
But that's the argument that you would make to bring that driver in.
That's a good one. I never thought about you saying that, but damn, I got to get ready for that one.
That's the point of the lawyer, to try and come up with as many deep pockets as you can to get recovery sometimes. I don't think the state is going to be at issue here unless the concrete is from some sort of, like, bridge that's, crumbling or something like that. I do think that it's possible that the construction company that hired the cement mixer or truck that left the concrete on the road, they could be liable, but good luck tracking down who that is. That concrete has probably been there for hours, if not days.
Correct.
So this is probably one of those situations where that's why you have insurance.
Okay.
Both car insurance and medical insurance to deal with crazy stuff like this.
That's true. Next clip.
Holy cow. Let's just watch that again.
Oh my god. Gee. I wonder who's gonna be at fault for that one. Holy crap.
So I have to imagine that the hydraulics failed and just
shot up.
Put the trailer up in the air like that. That's crazy.
Yeah. Something happened with the mechanical.
Just exploded.
So for sure, like that has to be the trucker's fault, right?
Possibly, but not necessarily.
Maybe.
No.
I would say it would depend on if the controls for the lift were in the cab of the truck. If the truck driver could control the lift inside the vehicle, then it could be the trucker's fault, especially if that person nudged the trigger. Yeah, like a Dragon trucker, you might know, like with a vehicle, I don't know if you've ever driven a vehicle such as this. Are the controls for the hydraulic lift in the cab of the truck? Is that something that is there a switch in there that the driver could have accidentally nudged that would have engaged the hydraulic and lifted it sky high like that? Or are there certain conditions like the vehicle has to be in park in order for the hydraulics to engage? What safety protocols are in place for that system? Because if there are safety protocols in place, so it's a button, does the vehicle have to be in park for it to engage? That's a big question. If the vehicle has to be in park in order for the hydraulic lift to engage, then I could see the manufacturers of the hydraulic lift being in trouble. If there's no obligation for the vehicle to be in park to engage the lift, then chances are it's going to be the trucker's fault. The trucker nudged the button and didn't notice it and just kept on trucking, and then kaboom, not parked. Okay, so then that's it. Then it sounds like the trucker hit the button, engaged the lift, wasn't paying the fuck attention, and fucking sent it.
To me, that is screaming some sort of mechanical defect.
Right.
That, it could have been the trucker who was responsible, but it also could have been manufactured incorrectly. It could have been negligently maintained. It's such a weird freak accident that I'm not necessarily assuming.
The lawyer to the left is Legal Eagle. He is a lawyer YouTuber similar to Andrew from Legal Mindset.
That it would be the trucker who was responsible for that. Let's say the truck driver is injured. They're going to want to sue the manufacturer of the trailer, their mechanic, probably a whole bunch of other people. And of course, if there was another driver involved, then they'd want to sue all.
All right, guys. I know some of you don't like Legal Eagle. You have your opinions about him. Don't care. That's not what this video is about. He is a lawyer. He has legal expertise. He's giving legal expertise on situations. His politics, his political leanings, completely immaterial. They're not even coming up here. Don't worry about it. Put the political bullshit aside, okay? Not everything's got to be political.
All those people plus the truck driver too.
Well, that's just a cocktail. That's a big party right there. Imagine I'm driving by. I'm sue him too. He's in the mix. We got him. Sandra, you're going down too. I'm like, what?
Need Miranda?
I just watched the video.
Wait.
No, you're going down too. All right. Let me get that next clip.
Oh, crap.
Oh shit. Only team
and
lost.
Just disconnects.
Oh no.
Gets in front of the U-Haul.
Ghost car. It's
See, everybody's
the
smart.
ghost.
They're slowing down. Look at the guy with the camera. Let me get in front. Let me get in front. And then you get hit.
All right, is it gonna stop?
Oh,
it's going off the hill. Is it gonna
Look at
stop?
this guy. He's about to cause an accident himself.
Oh no, it's picking up speed.
There it goes. Oh no, oh no.
Oh no, don't hit the house.
That's parking with style.
Okay.
He delivered it.
All right, that could be worse.
That's delivery.
Okay.
So here, I mean, given the way that it was just fishtailing, I think that's a load balancing issue.
So people rent these things out all the time.
Yeah.
But who guarantees you that these people know how to drive it?
Yeah. Well, that's what insurance is for.
Yeah, but it's like you're giving
Yeah,
them.
that was Black Wolf. You're right. That was not unsecured. Well, not unsecured. I think it was improperly balanced. They didn't. I think that they didn't properly balance the trailer, because if you don't properly have your trailer balanced, because the problem they had is they had the heaviest part of the car in the front, not the back. They needed to have the car facing backwards with the engine facing to the rear, because that would give you the proper balance. Because the engine was at the front, the car was front facing on that trailer, you didn't have the proper balance, which allowed the trailer to weave around the way it did. And my guess is that the trailer was weaving around so strongly, it just popped off its hitch, and then it just wet itself for a ride. That's why if you're ever like towing a vehicle in a trailer like that, you want to have, whenever towing a load, and truck drivers, correct me if I'm mistaken on this, but if you're ever like towing something, you want to have the heavier part of your load towards the rear, so that way you're not going to get that extreme fishtailing or swaying. You're going to have that counterbalance of weight for when you make your turns or make your adjustments as you're driving. You want the heavier portion of the weight to the rear and to function as a counterweight for you. Revan, I don't believe so. Now, I could be completely ass backwards on this. Am I completely ass backwards on this? Okay, Dry Trucker, yes and no. Okay, so where am I getting it wrong? Where is it? Want the weight on the wheels? Well, yes, and Spike, yeah, that's kind of the point I was talking about, because you notice the trailer is. You notice here we go. Look where the wheels are on this thing. The wheels on it are more towards the rear than the front. You've got it. They're somewhat centralized, but the wheels are more towards the rear versus the front. And that's going to be true for the majority of these trailers that you use to tow cars. The majority of these trailers that are used to tow cars are not going to be 4 evenly spaced wheels. Most of them are going to be towards the back, and that's where you want the engine.
That's parking with style.
Okay.
He delivered.
All right, that could be worse.
That's delivery.
Okay, so here, I mean, given the way that it was just fishtailing, I think that's a load balancing issue.
So people rent these things out all the time, but who guarantees you?
Really, Dragon Trucker? You do want to weigh it up front? Am I getting this completely ass backwards? Am I just getting this just completely ass backwards then? You want the weight up in the front, not in the back. You want the weight on the ball of it. Okay, so I'm getting this completely ass backwards. Apparently I'm getting it completely ass backwards. Okay. I am getting this completely backwards. Never let it be said that I don't admit when I'm wrong, and that I correct myself if I'm being proven wrong. I'm getting this completely backwards, and apparently I guess the weight should be at the front. So, YouTube, never let it be said that if I'm wrong about something and someone tells me I'm wrong about something, that I don't go, I am mistaken, I correct my statement. Okay? So apparently I am wrong, and the weight should have been at the front.
These people know how to drive it.
Yeah, well, that's what insurance is for.
Yeah, but it's like you're giving them this big ass truck, and then you're telling them like, all right, good luck. You think that say U-Haul, whatever company it is, they're obligated to explain how this works, how to tie it down for you, or not really?
I think that's definitely a possibility. Let's go to an extreme, that U-Haul recognizes that someone who wants to rent a truck or a van is completely drunk.
That's a good question for
the car or truck.
Although, depending on the safety chain, as much as that was flopping around, maybe the safety chain snapped. Maybe it's possible that the safety chain snapped on it. Who knows? I don't.
I'm an anime cat girl. Laws do not apply to me.
Well, not an anime cat girl right now. Now I am. And thank you, Grams. Thank you for the 5 gifted.
A van is completely drunk, and yet they rent the car or truck to them anyway. They would probably face some liability for that. But on the other end of the spectrum, they are renting these big vans and a trailer, it would seem. So I think that there is probably an argument to be made that they need to make sure that the average driver is equipped to be able to deal with these things. So I think that that's a totally reasonable negligence argument to make. There's got to be a balance somewhere between allowing people to actually rent these vehicles, but also making sure that they're safe.
Right before we go to this next clip, this is why I always tell you guys, you need insurance, full coverage, and you need a lawyer. Devin, you started your law firm?
I did. I started a personal injury law firm because I was sick of the massive gap in our justice system, whether you're talking about car accidents, trucking accidents, or being sexually harassed at work. For most people, the idea of getting legal help seems prohibitively expensive and risky. Not to mention it's extremely difficult for people who are not lawyers to tell if any of the lawyers are the best fit for their particular case. So I started a law firm where you don't need to pay anything up front, and your lawyers only get paid.
No, this is just an ad.
And most importantly,
this is just an
we
ad
take the
for
time to
Thomas.
actually match you with the best lawyer for your specific case and needs. Because as we've seen from all these clips, the context matters a lot. And so when you work with my firm, you're not just getting a lawyer, you're getting a team that understands that behind every case is a real person with real stakes. If we can't represent you, or you're in a state where we don't practice, we'll actually take the time to match you with an attorney in my personal network of lawyers who all have...
No, great, Gramps, no one's harassing Legal Eagle. He was saying, like, you know, like their law firm network or whatever would cover someone getting harassed, like harassment work cases. He was just giving an example of a case that he would cover.
Excellent track records of success. So if you're dealing with a personal injury, a car crash, a trucking accident, even if it happened a while ago, or there's an issue with other practice areas like data breach, sexual harassment, social security.
Hi, Minstrel. How are ya? Welcome in, Somber Portraits. Hi.
Or workers' comp, you can give us a call at the number on screen or click on the link below, because you don't just need a legal team, you need the Eagle team.
The lawyer's like your friend.
Unlike insurance companies.
Next clip.
The rider saw that a semi-truck was trying to get over into the right lane. Nobody was letting him over, so the biker decided to stop traffic for him. The guy in the red Kia Soul gets so mad that he hits the biker, and in return, the biker breaks his mirror.
I love these clips. It's so stupid to get in a fight with a biker who's wearing a helmet and like armored gloves and stuff.
And you're rocking that Kia Soul. What is that Kia Soul? Wow.
There you go.
You know, California drivers take a lot of flack, but they know how to zipper. And that's the problem here, is that there's an accident on the road and no one's zippering to let this big truck, you know, merge to move forward.
They're not, because it's just traffic and then road rage. Like I tell everybody, it's like when a customer comes into the shop, you don't know their day. You don't know how mad they are, if they got in a fight with their girl, they're gonna fight with their husband, if they're just having a f***ing day. They just don't want to let that car pass no matter what it is at that point. And then you go over there trying to be a nice guy, be like, hey bro, just let this guy pass. Now you just became the target.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as a biker, I didn't see a crime here. That mirror was broken before the biker was there. And the only crime that was committed was the guy punching the helmet. But other than that, I see no crimes committed.
After he does this, would he be charged for a hit and run? Or he could say, you know, when I got nervous?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I don't feel like it's a hit and run because it wasn't the vehicles that made contact. I'd have to look up the statute to see what the...
More than likely, if there was going to be any... my guess is if the police were involved in this, my guess is they would probably pose it to... My guess, if the police got called on this, and they had the two of them, the police would probably do this. The police would they would review the biker's footage, and probably what they do is they would approach the driver and say, okay, listen, we will charge him, the biker, for criminal damage to property for when he hit the guy's mirror. They'll tell the guy, we'll charge him for criminal damage to property, and then we'll charge you for battery. If you really want to pursue this, we'll arrest him for criminal damage to property, but then you're also going for battery. And at that point, the driver would just go, no, I'm good. That's fine. I'll just, never mind. And they go their separate ways. Realistically, that's probably what would happen if the police did get called in on this. They would make that offer to the vehicle driver, and the vehicle driver would be like, yeah, okay, never mind. I'll let it go since I'm going to get arrested.
The definition of hit and run is, I imagine it generally requires actual some sort of vehicular crash that you then leave the scene. So he has oddly committed vandalism and then left. But the question would be, does fleeing the scene of vandalism count as fleeing the scene of an accident?
What he should have done was...
No, I can tell you flat out, no, it does not. And it wouldn't be vandalism. Well, depending on the statute, it probably would be. It would most likely be a charge of criminal damage to property. It's not given the actions that would be criminal damage to property. He would not be charged for quote unquote fleeing the scene. That would not, that he wouldn't get that because it wouldn't be classified as an accident. So simple answer right there.
Ran into the wall.
Oh, for
and then
God's
hire
sake.
a good lawyer.
There you go. Thanks for watching RMS. If you guys want to watch more videos, click here, there, whatever is at. Devin Stone, thank you for
My
coming
pleasure.
out. And also, I'm going to be doing a guest appearance on the Legal Eagles channel. Check that out. Deuces, guys.
Right. That's fun and interesting. That was also very interesting, was it not? I like that.